This table feels so high. Oh, I'm going lower. I want to go high, 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 high. There we go. That's higher. What's happening, guys, and welcome to Anderson Amplify. It's been a minute. I've missed you guys, and I know you've missed me. This next episode on fathers has been long awaited, and I've really taken my time with it because initially, important episodes like this, that you don't know how to approach them. If I'm being transparent with you guys, I was nervous and I was scared that I was going to say the wrong thing because, well, when you have fathers listening, and I don't want to lose you guys because you go, well, it's a father's episode. I'm a young man. I'm out of here. No, one day you'll be a father. A lady listening, gal, you have a husband who might need to hear some of this. So I don't want to lose you. Because this episode is so near and dear to my heart. I personally have had, my dad, an amazing father, an encourager, a motivator, a trainer, a counselor, a man that has just led me and reminded me to keep going to God. And I could never ask for anything more. My father's been not only my father, but now later here in life, my best buddy. So, yeah, I'm sure he can give you a list of things he's done wrong, but from the outside looking in, there's very few things that I can think about that my father has done wrong with his kids. And so I aspire to be that sort of man. And when we talk about fathers, part of the reason why I wanted to do this type of episode was because I've had friends and I've listened to their heartache and sort of, one individual I spoke with, ended up, and I'll never give names, but of course he called me and he was crying and we talked about this and we talked about that and how to get through this and how to get through that. And I think there's a lot of men out there. Well, number one, I don't want this to be just about men, but there will be aspects of it that are about, a man being a father, obviously. And just the necessity of good, strong fathers and how important it is in our society now. If you look at society and the trajectory of society, man, it's dwindling down to where whatever goes. The father's missing more and more from the home. The woman's single more and more often. So the importance of the role of father isn't being taken as serious as it should be because the role makes all the difference. There's this movie called The Natural, and the guy didn't have his father for 16 years. Or he was the father of this son that he didn't know he had. And the woman came to him and goes, I think it's time for him to meet his father. And he goes, yes, a father makes all the difference. And it's so true. I mean, I think of the role of fatherhood, and it feels like it's one of those roles where we're just not appreciated often. Mother's Day, man, is this big to-do. Father's Day is like, here you go, here's some socks and underwear, catch you later, Dad. But Mother's Day, we do dinner, we do church, and we do everything. But Father's Day is kind of like, here you go. There's your gift, see you later. And the father's role, man, is so important, man. We protect and we provide and we are the disciplinarian and we are the encourager, we are the motivator, we are the trainer, we are the counselor, we are the enforcer. And we have to do all those things with compassion. And then to get no gratitude for it, man, a lot of times that's a kick in the teeth. So, not always, but there's a lot of times where that old saying, men suffer in silence. Well, I mean, man, how true is that? How many times, men or women that have husbands, how many times have you felt them just suffering in silence? When you really step outside yourself and you try to feel someone else's soul, how many times have you felt them suffering in silence? Part of that is men just don't have other good men to go to. You know, they got their buddies from high school and their friends through college and all these people, but no real true good buddies to go to. No good buddies that are going to say, hey, man, you got to fix this. And, oh, you're doing great at that, but you got to change this and you have to change that, because if you don't do these things, your life is going to slowly slide down that trajectory of trickle down. And I see it so often, man. And so what happened is men suffer in silence. Well, then they start leaning on things of the world, right? Alcohol, drugs, porn, whatever they lean on, and it starts to destroy their lives. How many, not that my opinion matters, but how many times have you went out and looked around and you see men, with a drink in their hand or getting drunk, and you're wondering, man, what the hell's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You are supposed to be performing at your peak level to offer the world around you the best you. And here you are succumbing to the world's stuff that only hurts you. Well, man, I got anxiety, so I need to take a drink. Well, shut your ass up and get a little bit stronger. Or at least find other men that are going to help you get stronger. Or, at the bottom line, maybe what we start searching for, men, is God. Because God was the man's man. There was no one stronger. There was no one more compassionate. There was no one kinder and more loving. Talking about a carpenter, man, who used his hands. This guy wasn't some frail, little man. This was a strong man. And he was a good man, obviously. and a model to model yourself after. So you start modeling yourself after Jesus. Not that you'll ever be that way. We'll never touch that. Believe me, we're too flawed. But you will lift up your whole life. Your wife's relationship with you, your kids' relationship with you, the relationship you have with yourself, and your relationship with God. So anyhow, we've talked about, men suffering in silence. And I think as fathers, we have two choices. And by the way, people go, well, how do you have any right to talk about fatherhood? Well, I am a father of 3, 16, 12, and 5 boys. So I know what it takes. And it's not easy. It is not easy. And there comes a point where you're no longer the loudest voice in your child's head. And it's heartbreaking. And you want to be, because you care so much. You want to be the loudest voice. You always want to be that little, voice on their shoulder, and you hope that you remain there their whole life. But as they move on and they get older, you realize that, oh man, they got friends, and now those friends are the loudest voices in their head. Oh, they got a girlfriend. She may be the loudest voice. Oh, they got a wife. Well, now obviously she has to be the loudest voice in his head. But even I struggle with that, because I love my kids so much, man. People say, I'll die for my kids. And you see men falling into the traps of the world, addiction and this and that. And you always talk to them, oh man, I'll die for my kid. I'll die for my wife. But my question is to you men, will you live for your wife? Will you live for your family? Will you live for your kids if that's what you have? And so those are things to think about. Who cares about dying? We're all going to die. But are you going to live? And are you going to live right? We struggle as men. I find myself, as a father, struggling now when I look in the mirror because I see myself aging. I see myself getting older. And I go, am I the provider they need? Am I this? Am I that? I could tell you one thing, and this was going early on before I had my first son, is I want to do something where I can make enough money to survive and give me time to be with my kids, because I don't want to have to go away. I don't want to have to disappear for 60 hours a week and miss everything, because you know what? It's so short. 16 years for me, gone in a flash, man. Like, time was so aggressive. It didn't wait for me. But the good thing is I was here and I saw everything. The good, the bad, from the baby to the almost the man. And so, is it possible to be the father and man you want to be? Can you check all the boxes? I don't know, guys. I don't know if we can ever check all the boxes. We're talking about perfection. It doesn't exist. But I do know that there's a foundation. There's a foundation that I believe, and in my opinion, starts with God. You have to bring your kids and your family to God, your wife. And if it's, maybe you're separated. Okay, you still have to be that example. You have to be that example of leading your children to God. And if you're not separated, well, you lead your family to God. And He protects you. He puts a shield over you. He puts a shield over you from the things of the world. And it's a shield of love and compassion and grace and kindness. And it's impenetrable. Nothing could get through it. Nothing will break it, and nothing could break it down. And I believe in that with every ounce of my soul. Men, I understand as fathers, it's a huge weight and burden, and it's exhausting. I told one of my buddies the other day, I go, fatherhood is great. It's one of the most exhausting things I've done in my entire life. I think the most exhausting, because, man, if you're trying to do it right, it wears you out because you care so much. You are just fatigued to the bone. And I could vouch for that, because I do care that much. Of course I care that much, and I have to. If I care, I have to put the action in to show that I care. Because the action, regardless of the words, is nothing. You have to have the action to show, this is what I'm trying to do, and here's why. And now you see it, so you know it. Why I keep leaning back on God is because in this world, it's chaotic. Maybe some of you are split up. Maybe some of you are having troubles in your marriage. Maybe some of you are having troubles with your kid. Well, let me tell you something. There's something about a relationship with God that at the core of the chaos of the world drops in peace and joy and love inside your soul. And it's not something the world can take from you. And without it, you're sort of left there in a chaotic bubble that seems out of control. And it is out of control, because our sole purpose as fathers, of course, is to protect, love, and provide, be the disciplinarian. But more than anything, your sole purpose and your one reason to be the father that you are born to be is to lead your children to God. Because people go, well, I don't believe in God. Well, it shows you that you believe in something. You believe in not believing. So if you believe in not believing, you can believe in believing. And once you do, on the other end of that, man, you'll find grace, compassion, kindness, love, and a filled heart. Whereas without it, you just won't find it. You won't. And we owe that to ourselves. So, dads, pray for your family, pray for your children. Be the example of a good, godly life. And what I could say at the end of this is, no matter how broken you might feel, no matter how terrible you might feel about who you are as a father, or great as a father, or how I need to be better as a father, God's going to be that guiding light. He's going to help you be the man that you need to be. And He will break down all those barriers that the world sets in place to create destruction in your life. So with that being said, fatherhood is not easy. It's one of the hardest things you'll do. But if you do it right, man, at the end of the day, when you are 90 years old and you sit back and you look at your life and you look at your kids and your grandbabies, I think you will be satisfied. Matter of fact, I know you will. And there will be very little regret with how you lived your life. And that's what the goal is, right? We don't want to have regret. We don't want to feel like I could have done it better, because the truth is you get one chance and it's a short chance. And so make it the best that you can. I will be praying for you guys. I would love for you guys to pray for me as a father. And most importantly, just keep being the good godly example that's inside of you. And if you haven't found it yet, it's there for you to find. Anyhow, fathers matter. And you're more than just a provider, believe me. You're more than just 60 hours away at your job. You're far more than that, and there's far more important things about you than what you can give your family, materially wise, versus what you could give them spiritually, emotionally. And like I said, you guys keep believing in the fact that you can be better, because we can all be better. And for the world to be better, we have to pursue the better version of ourselves. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was an important one to me because fathers do matter. Take it easy. We'll catch you on the next one, guys.